Ladies and gentlemen, this is an article that came out in Canada. What's killing rural Canada? You can see rural Canada is having the same exact issues that rural America is having, ladies and gentlemen. They're having the same issue. What's killing it? Crime. Remember, crime is up in rural areas in America and it's dropping in urban areas. Well, it's up in Canada too. Opioid abuse, boarded up businesses, fleeing populations, or destroying the country's heartland. Can town life be saved? No, no. And let me explain why. See, the millennials don't want to live in areas like that. They want everything accessible. They want, the restaurants and the job and, places to shop in close proximity. No one is no longer interested in living out in the wilderness, driving 30 miles just to get to the grocery store. People are not interested in that. Number two, there's no jobs there. That's the biggest complaint about a lot of people that leave rural areas is the lack of jobs. They have to go outside of those areas to even find a decent place to work. So as time goes on, people just don't want to be in those areas. And not only that, those areas have very slow growth. And you saw also in the articles that I've done, they're closing hospitals, they're closing schools, they're closing the maternity wards because there's just not enough people in rural America having babies. So, yeah, there's a lot of boarded up businesses because those businesses just can't be there and make out, as far as earning an income, they can't. It's not enough people in those areas. And if you notice, those wildfires are not happening in urban areas, ladies and gentlemen. It's not happening. It's happening in these remote places where these people choose to live. And then it's so many trees around in many of those rural areas, everything goes up like a matchstick. And a lot of the natural disasters also happen in these type of areas more than the urban areas as well. So just thinking about all of those things is just not ideal for people to live that kind of way anymore. And not only that, most of the rural population now are elderly. And most of the youth, a lot of them that are not so strung out on drugs, they are leaving now and going to the urban areas. So let's just get into this. There's a lot of things in here that actually mirrors America in a huge way. All right, so I'm going to go down a bit. Canada's growing opioid plague is hitting rural regions hard and harder, arguably, than cities with emergency services, healthcare support for the addicted. Rural property crime has farmers on edge, leading some to vent against a growing population of Indigenous young people, who in turn says systematic racism is depriving them of work opportunities. Meanwhile, young people are leaving towns for better employment opportunity and better pay. Wages in remote rural areas are about 30% lower than in urban centers, according to a 2015 report in Strengthening Rural Canada, a government-supported initiative to study human capital in smaller communities. Unemployment rates tend to increase the further communities are from cities. And see, that is the biggest problem with this way of living. ladies and gentlemen. I know some of these people, they just want to be in certain areas where everybody looks like them. That's what they want. But the future is not the rural area. It's not. It's not. Okay. The future is going to be in more of your highly populated urban areas because everything is more accessible there. You have public transportation. You have so many things that you don't have the same access to in rural areas. Okay. You have lower levels of education in rural Canada and therefore lower levels of human capital. Therefore, the employability is problematic. They are not equipped to get good jobs, even when they move to urban areas. For the people staying in rural areas, the tax base declines, employment declines, cost of health care goes up, all costs go up. Then municipalities can't afford to fund basic services. And they're talking about your ambulance service, your police, those type of things. They have a hard time funding that stuff because there's fewer people paying into taxes locally. They have to increase the tax on fewer and fewer people in urban areas. Exactly. Okay. So just hearing some of this stuff, you can understand why a younger population would not want to stay in these areas, and it's the same way here. When you look at a lot of the pictures in rural areas, it's not as lively. And you see just like these guys standing in front of an empty store. You see a lot of that. You see a lot of it. So, as you can see, Canada is facing a higher crime rate in the rural areas and not enough opportunity, the same as America. It's really no different. So what I will do is I will leave the link to this article in the description box, but please leave your comment, subscribe, and make sure you share these videos too, ladies and gentlemen, because that really does help. Okay, and I will see you on the next video. Peace, family.